Any operating system can run into problems. Let's see what it means to troubleshoot the Windows operating system. To give us some insights on that, we brought in Juan Fernandez. Juan, how you doing?
Hey, I'm great to be here, James. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here, man. Tell us a bit about yourself, and let's start talking about troubleshooting Windows.
Sure. 28-year veteran in the IT industry. I started off at the help desk, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, engineer, leader, manager, and now 3-time business owner of IT company and CEO of a new one. So great to be here.
And Juan loves to play with various operating systems, including the very latest Windows 1. Juan, there's so many elements that have to work and play well together, right? When it comes to doing any task, whether you're looking at a spreadsheet, doing a video conference or whatever. We'll use video conference as an example because you've got the mic, you've got the webcam, you've got the browser, you got the OS, the network stack, right? Not to mention the ISP. All these things have to work and play well together. Let's use that scenario and start talking about what it means to troubleshoot an issue.
Well, to your point, James, I think we live in a connected world, right? And so that being said, back in the day, we could focus on system performance as, processor and memory. And to your point now, we're adding so many layers to that with all the requirements on the network, right? So whether we're using, these new different types of communication tools, we're adding way more taxing environments and opportunities to the systems, right? So, making sure that we're paying attention to, all that's going on within Task Manager and within Performance Monitor is a big key place to play these days, where you're loading up, you got users that have 12 or 13 tabs of internet browsing, and they're saying that maybe an application is not working well, right? And you're like, well, that's interesting. It's working well everywhere else. No one else is having issues. So definitely new things to look at and new ways to look at troubleshooting things.
So when you're troubleshooting, let's say an issue with connecting to, whatever, Zoom or GoToMeeting or what have you, where do you start then? Do you start, with Task Manager, Event Viewer, stuff like that?
I think you have to, right? Because if we're starting to do things where, say it's working fine, and then all of a sudden I went to share my screen and it locked up, they're thinking that maybe the application is having issues, when in fact, it might have been the 12 or 13 tabs that were holding all the memory on the back end, where you're running at, high utilization of memory. And maybe you have, a camera app that's using high processor utilization, right? So a bunch of different things could be happening there. Could be bandwidth too. If we're seeing a spike in bandwidth, maybe there's some updates that are downloading during it. So there's a numerous amount of places to go and look.
So let's say it's not a bandwidth issue. It could be something to do with, say, the actual camera. Firmware could be outdated, right? Or some sort of driver, some sort either corruption or it needs to be updated.
Absolutely. And I think that to that point, we don't always see every system and that's running on our machines. There's thousands of systems and subsystems that are constantly running. They all need updating, and they like to talk back to us too. And Event Viewer is a great place to go and look, right? So when you're looking for problems, and you don't see it right away, and, Performance Monitor or in Task Manager, look to Event Viewer for some of those answers.
And Event Viewer can contain various different types of logs, from the security to applications and things like that, right?
100%. And even third-party apps, right? So you can even look at different types of things that are going on within there. And there might be a security situation that's happening where it's trying to access some malformed exe or something along those lines that could be causing the problem. So it definitely is a good place to ground yourself in.
When you're making some typical troubleshooting moves, there's some things like getting into safe mode and system restore. Is that fair enough at this level? You spend your time in those areas as well?
Absolutely. If you got driver issues that came up through a newly installed driver, obviously best practices boot in safe mode, VGA mode, if you will. Yeah. And then actually, stop the load of those drivers that you may have just recently installed, and then move back and revert to the previous state so that you can restore system functionality.
Because once you're in safe mode, you can start making choices. You can start isolating and saying, well, once this DLL or once this element loads, then we've got a problem. And then, like you said, you can go back into some sort of restore mode and bring it all back and start over.
Absolutely.
Well, Juan, thanks so much, man, for explaining some of the typical moves when it comes to troubleshooting the Windows operating system.
Thanks for having me.